Hey everyone, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are located. We'll give it a couple minutes before we get started. Just so everybody knows, my name is Ronak Shah. Some of you guys know me. Some of you guys have talked to me before. Some of you guys have met me before. Thank you for taking out the time and joining here. Just before we get started, if a couple things. If you have any questions, we'll just type in the question. There should be a Q&A button on your thing. We'll answer the questions as they come along or as we go along and whatnot. Our goal, I used to be a FedEx contractor, and my goal is to educate the contractor group. So I basically will go over my journey, how I was a contractor out of Austell, Georgia, and what transpired and how I went about getting into recruiting of all spaces, right? So as we start, again, thank you for taking out the time. Hopefully my goal is to educate you guys on what to say, how to say it when it comes to ads and putting it on job platforms, why you should even care, right? To get the amount of value out of this, right? So just as people are trickling in, just want to make sure that if you have any questions, please feel free to put in your Q&A over here and we'll go over it. So my goal is you get so much value, you take these tidbits and things we've learned and why, and learn from my mistakes, right? As a business owner, we all make mistakes, and my goal is for you not to make the same ones that I made, right, when I got started as a contractor. So just a little bit about this webinar, and my goal is to create these webinars every couple weeks, do a quick like run through of all the things I've learned, all the mistakes I've made, and what you guys can do to ensure that you don't make the same mistake over and over again, right? So learn from my mistake. That's the smartest way to learn. So with that, this one is for how you can attract great drivers with better job ads, right? So we talk about job description, but it's actually an ad. You're advertising the two candidates, right? That's what it is. So when you're advertising, you got to think from a perspective of who is your audience, why should they care, why should they apply for your um, job. So just wanted to get into it, and hopefully you guys can get a lot out of it. So anyways, just the origin story. I used to be a FedEx contractor like you guys. I bought 19 routes. Like I said, I made all the mistakes that a new business owner can make and a first time business owner can make. I bought too big, but with that mindset or thinking of like, oh, I'll be able to buy 19 routes and manage it remotely. Figured out pretty quickly that was a myth, right? Like that's not true. So I used to live in Warner Robins, Georgia. I bought my routes in Austell, Georgia terminal. It's about hour and a half, 2 hours away. So basically, we realized that hey, this is this is kind of not what it was told to be, right? And when I bought the 19 routes, it's luckily or unluckily, it was just pre-COVID. It's when we bought it, right? So when we bought 19 routes, went on an overnight, it became 35 routes because of COVID. I still remember it's like yesterday, March 17, 2020. Everybody announced it was shut down, and boom, those 19 routes became 35 routes overnight. We realized, hey, um, FedEx ground ownership and being a contractor, it's like three-legged stool when you think about it, right? You need good trucks, you need good drivers, and you need capital. If you have those three things, you're going to be successful, right? So we figured out pretty quickly. I was like, hey, this is all about execution. How can you execute? How can you get enough drivers in? How can you make sure you train those drivers in properly? How can you make sure that um, all of those things are um, done in a proper way, in a cost effective way, and how can we get this done pretty quickly, right? So the number one challenge was finding and keeping reliable drivers. It was pretty obvious. I was like, okay, we need to do something about it. So we tried, like any contractor, we tried other recruiting companies. We tried giving referral bonuses, which was a good way to do it, but it couldn't keep up with the number of people we needed. We literally had to go overnight from having 25 drivers because we were a 7-day operation. So we had to go from 25 drivers to over 50 drivers in a span of, weeks. So luckily, my co-founder, so at the time, I used to live in Warner Robins and used to commute every morning. So wake up at 4 in the morning, drive to the terminal, make sure that everybody is there who's supposed to be there, show up, make sure, help the drivers load the trucks like you guys have done in the past, and then quickly realized we've had a lot, like, we had very high turnover. So I realized pretty quickly, I said, hey, we need to change something, and we need to do a lot of different things to make sure we're successful. At that time, like I said, I made a lot of mistakes and made all the things we shouldn't have done, had done it. I bought too big, I bought too far. Um, and then I quickly realized that 19 routes, going into 35 routes is pretty insane growth, right? So I had a lot of growing problems. So basically, candidates were ghosting us. Recruiting companies were providing candidates that didn't even fit the mold, right? One of the recruiting firms decided to send me a nurse. I'm like, why are you sending me a nurse? She cannot do this job, and she needs to be in the hospital right now, not with me running around. So long story short, I couldn't find a solution, so I decided to create one, right? So basically, let's understand, what does a job platform do? Job platforms literally provide you haystacks. When I say haystacks, they're just providing you bunches and bunches of resumes, right? And you need to shift through all those resumes, and you need to basically understand if these resumes, you have to shift through these resumes. You have to understand if this is the kind of skill set that is going to match what I need them to do, right? Delivering is tough. We have to be in the element. We have to be um, going through a lot of things. They have to be able to problem solve on the go. So as we shift from basically shift through all the resumes, right? On a typical basis, you get about 100 resumes. Out of 100 resumes, only 50 of them are actually worth anything, right? Worth a damn, right? So basically, when you shift through all these candidates and all these resumes, you're like, 50 of them suck. They're not worth my time. So you then, weed those 50 out. Then out of the 50 candidates that you call, um, text, email, however way you guys want to do it, whatever way you do it, right? Only probably 50% of the 50 pick up or answer, or they actually reply to you. So there's a lot of shifting through the haystack to find the needles. And for us as contractors, we want to get to the needle as quickly as possible, right? So we need to get candidates. How can we get those candidates as quickly as possible, to make sure that they come in on the days they're supposed to come in, and they do the job safely? As FedEx business owners, we contractor, it's not a difficult thing, right? If you have the right people, and if you have the right trucks, and obviously if you have the capital slash, you have a good contract, your meso is good, everything's good. You're given a budget. You need to stay within the budget. by FedEx, and hey, these are the options. You pick an option, and okay, this is what I'm going to be making, right? Now I just gotta figure out and execute against that budget. That's how I looked at my operation. So basically, when we got to 35 routes, we realized that, hey, we need close to 50 to 60 employees. And during that time, we figured out, hey, these are the problems we need to look through. And as I was saying, so there's 100 resume that comes in on an ad on a job platform, maybe Indeed, maybe ZipRecruiter, maybe Facebook, wherever you guys want to advertise. There are ways to do it. Indeed is probably the best place, and in our review, 80% of our applicants come through Indeed. So that being said, once you get 100 candidates, 50 of them are actually worth a damn. Out of 50, there's 25 who will actually answer, and out of 25, probably 12 will fill out the background check form. And you know at the end, you're left with 5, right? By the time they pass the background, pass the drug test, pass the DOT physical. So getting 5 needles out of 100 haystack, right, of resumes is pretty bad conversion rate. It's 5%, but that's what it is. So with that said, wanted to show you guys why your job ad matters. So instead of saying that it's a job, description, think of it as an ad. You're advertising to the candidates. Why should they care? Why should they work for you and not another contractor? Because there's 10, 15, 20, 25 contractors in your terminal, depending on which terminal you're in, right? So why should they care, and why should they even apply to your position? So 89% of the job seekers research a company before deciding to apply, and 75% of the job seekers are more likely to apply if the employer actively manages their employer brand. So when I say employer brand, how many of you guys have a company profile created on any of these platforms, right? Have you looked at that? Have you looked at your rating? Where do you rate? What are the candidates seeing? Candidates also look at things like, is this employer responsive? So the number one problem, indeed, when I went to the master class last week, was saying number one problem candidates face is ghosting. It's twice as much of ghosting from an employer to a candidate than a candidate ghosting an employer. So think about that, right? You are basically saying that these candidates don't respond. It's double the amount of people on the candidate side that is saying that we feel that the employer is not responding. So being responsive is very important when it comes to that. And a lot of these job platforms are tracking that. Hey, and I'll show you an example of what it looks like and what a candidate sees from their perspective when they're applying for this position. So with that said, what basically, like I was saying, who are you trying to attract? What's the perfect candidate for you? What does that perfect candidate look like? Who do you want? Do you want someone who shows up on the days they're supposed to show up on, delivers everything that they're supposed to deliver, and make sure that he or she does not get into an accident, right? So we would all love to have a guy like this who's always smiling, but we know the reality, right? Of having drivers and managing drivers, and it's a headache that we all have taken on as business owners. So how do you picture that particular candidate? Like, what does that person look like? It's very important for you guys to understand that aspect, right? What we found is, believe it or not, if your ad is if you advertise, right, if you put a job description, job ad, it should be readable to a fourth grade level English, right? The simpler you make it, the easier you make it, the better quality you will have and a better apply rate you'll have. At the end of the day, this is a numbers game, guys. So you want to get a lot of applicant, and then shift through the best ones, right? To find those needles as quickly as possible. These job platforms, their job is to boost, get some money from you and give you some resumes, right? So how do you get the right resume and what can you do? So how can you better your apply rates on the platform? This is a golden nugget that we learned about 2.5 years of doing it. We posted, guys, over 1,500 different jobs. So believe it or not, in last 5.5 years, we've literally done a lot of testing. What works, what doesn't work. We've seen A and B testing to see, hey, is this a better way to do it, or is this a better way to do it? And what we found was keep it simple. First of all, go give them all the details, like what it is like to work for you, right? What kind of culture do you have? What kind of pay do you have? What kind of benefits you have? So these are very important things. But again, and in this day and age, you can utilize one of these AI platforms to make it where it's literally you take your job description and say, hey, I want to advertise this, make it where it's readable at a fourth grade level, and it literally will rewrite the whole thing for you, and give it back to you guys. So in this day and age, if you're wanting to do something, it's super simple. Put it on OpenAI, chat, like ChatGPT, basically, Claude, any of these AI models, Grok, and you're able to do it. If for some reason you guys need help on rewording or reframing your ads, we can provide you free guidance on it. There, we don't charge for that. So at the end, I'll show you where to send your ad. We'll rate it. We'll tell you, hey, these were the things we want to change on your ad. This is what the things you should change, and this is what you need to do, and give them back to you. So you can make the changes if you would like. So, anyways, what candidates really looking for, right? So when you think about the relevance of the candidate, basically candidates are looking at the job content, search terms, compensation, location, shift information, job type. Like, is it full time, part time, seasonal, temp to hire, whatever the case may be, right? They want to know what what the job entails. They want to know how much they're getting paid. They want to know if it's a full time or a part time or like weekend or like job. They want to know the specific location so they can see how far is the commute. And then the search terms are keywords that are used by um, these job boards, right? So there are a lot of keywords you could utilize. You don't want to stuff keywords into the job ad, but there are a lot of keywords you can utilize. So when if you send us your job ad, current job ad, and you're like, hey, I want to get this rated and get this changed, um, I'll have a slide back at the end and basically say, hey, this is what changes we want to make, and these are the keywords we want to put in there, right? And then what is the big six? What candidates want in your job ad? Like I said, they want to know your location, they want to know how much they're getting paid, they want to know what the benefits are, they want to know the shift information, they want to know job type, and they want to know requirements. So if you're a P&D, it's super simple. It's a non-CDL position. You want to make sure they can pass a background check. They can lift up to 150 pounds with the hand truck, right? So it's very important to specify those things. What we found works for us is we weed these folks out, right? We want to weed them out. I initially was like, hey, I'll get as many people in as possible, and then we realized it's better to just pick the right folks, right? So when you have 100 resumes and you're only getting to five, I would rather just have the best five people in that position to pick from, because it's so expensive for us. It's very expensive to bring them in and train them. Waste nowadays you have to do a qual search. So waste a trainer's time, waste your time to do all of this processing. At the end, they didn't realize that this job entails you lifting 150 pounds. You have so much ICs and LPs, and you have to deal with the elements and what are some of the trucks they have to drive. So we decided, hey, we created a day in a life video and we show it to them, right? It's an 8.5 minute video. We can send you a link if you want. It's on YouTube. Show them what it is to be a P&D delivery driver. Same thing for line haul. If you have line haul operation, do the same thing. Weed them out early so you're not wasting your time on getting these folks in and then them realizing, oh man, this job sucks. I don't want to do this. And you just wasted all that time, money, and effort into doing that, right? So be very selective. And for you to be that selective, you want your job ad to be rated high on these different platforms. And you need to shift through all those folks to get the best quality people possible. Because in the long run, if you have low turnover, we all know you're going to have a stable operation and it's going to be easier, right? Nobody wants a call from FedEx saying, "Oh, hey, look, your driver did a early pickup. Like, why?" Right? So those things only happen, or somebody got in, unfortunately, in an accident. Whatever the case may be, the safety parameters will be better for longer tenured employees. We know for a fact in our space, once a driver has been with you for a year, the accident percentage for that driver goes down. So when I first started as a contractor, we had a very terrible turnover rate, which led to us actually having very terrible safety score, right? So not only I was shorthanded, our safety score suffered. So basically we realized, hey, we need to slow it down for these guys. We need to pick the right kind of people coming in and we need to train them properly. So we we realized pretty quickly that, hey, recruiting is a numbers game, but you want the right amount of numbers coming through the funnel to make sure that you can pick the right folks and bring them in, train them right, and make sure your operations run smoothly. So it's very important to give this all the information. The more information you have, the better your candidate pool will be, which will in turn give you a better quality employee, right? Which can lead to longer tenure and which can lead to less safety incidents and accidents. So overall, it's easier for your business. Um, so writing a job ad that actually works, right? The do's and don'ts straight from Indeed, right? So, like I was saying, be clear, searchable job titles, delivery driver, full time, not route associate. So, you can try this and you can do A/B testing. What works for you for your location, you can look at different titles and you can have different job posts. And see what works, what doesn't work. And I'll show you guys in a little bit where to go and what to look at, what analytics to look at to see what works, what doesn't work, right? Our goal is to help you get as much or more bang for your buck when it comes to these job platforms, especially Indeed and whatnot, right? So to make sure that you're getting the best out of it. So basically show pay up front, specific number or range beats vague phases like competitive pay, right? And nowadays everything is searchable. Let's just put it out there for folks so they can see what you're paying. Shift start time, right? Like if dispatch is 9 a.m., if you're a line haul, like say, is it a night assigned, unassigned? Is it a day assigned, unassigned? So the more info you have in your ad, the better it is, the better quality people you get, and more people will apply to you. So list all benefits. Benefits are very important in this day and age. Drivers compare packages, then and they look at multiple jobs, and everybody has options, right? And in this day and age, everybody can scroll and apply to thousands of different jobs. So just you want the right person to apply for you to have the right person apply, describe a typical day in plain language. Like I said, we created a video. I'll share the link if you guys want. Just let us know and we'll send you the YouTube link of what a day in the life of a FedEx delivery driver is, what a day in the life of a line haul driver is, right? And like was telling you, keep it in simple terms, keep it under 700 words. Shorter ad gets more applies on mobile, and 85 to 90% of the people are looking on their cell phones nowadays, right? Everything is on cell phone. Not a lot of people are doing desktop. So um, these are the do's, and then avoid this vague titles, hiding pay, walls of text, generic language, missing location details. Like, just keep it very specific. You want to attract the right kind of people. So think from a perspective. When I used to work at a as a salesperson, I was told that, hey, think from a client's perspective. Like, who are you going after, right? So this in this case, you're advertising your client is a candidate. How do you get the best candidate, the best person that can fill your role or fill the role that you have, right? So 5 ways to know if your job ad is working. Like, what are some of the ways to look at? Like I was telling you, analytics are very important, right? So on Indeed, a healthy apply rate is 3% of views. Below 2% means your ad isn't resonating. So guys, get used to looking at the data. Data is king, and for you to understand something's working or not, and then take action based on data is very important, right? Um, Look at who's applying. Are the candidates even qualified? If you have people who are applying and they're not qualified, you're just rejecting. So let's say 100 people as a metric, 100 people have applied. And if 80 of them don't match what you're looking for, you need to change your job ad. Like, it's as simple as that. On what we have seen over a million different candidates that we have touched, the numbers are this, and this stays pretty similar or simple. And this is what we've seen is, out of 100, only 50 will qualify, right? So if you like, as a rule of thumb, if there's 100 people applying for your job and you have only 40 people who are qualified, you need to look at your job ad. Read your company reviews on different platforms like Indeed, Google. People are searching, like, who is this company, like, why should I work for them, what is the reason behind it, right? So people are looking. If the reviews are like, oh man, this company sucks, then people are not going to even apply. So they research this. Like I was telling you guys earlier, test different headlines, like delivery driver versus FedEx delivery, FedEx driver, or delivery driver needed. Like, basically trying different things to see, and all of this metrics are available on your analytics. So make sure that you're utilizing and looking at these analytics and understanding why it's important for you guys to look at. And then use sponsor ad strategically. Make sure that you're understanding what your spend is. Certain people don't realize they're spending more than they're supposed to, or they're spending less than they're supposed to. So understanding how to look at your budget, how it's getting utilized. If you're spending $5 a day and within 2 days $35 is spent, that means it's not enough. Meaning, in $2, the whole week's budget got spent. So understand all those things, to figure out if you're spending wisely, if you need to go up on the spend or go down on the spend, right? Um, and then last but not least, like I was telling you guys, we can get a free analysis done for you, not only for the ads, but for your market analysis. Are you paying the right amount? Are you paying what you should be paying? And then we can review it. Give us a day or two to get you the answers. Just email us at sales@ancile.services, completely free. If you're like, hey, I want my ad reviewed, just go ahead and send it. I'll have my team do it. My team's pretty amazing. They know what they're doing. They've done it for 5.5 years. We've helped over 1,000 contractors. We probably helped and looked at 2,000 ads, if not more. So we can do a pretty quick ad review, get it back to you, and you can utilize it, and hopefully that will increase your engagement, and apply rate for your basically for your job, right? That you have posted on different platforms. We also do a free market analysis. Just say free market analysis and compare yourself with your peers, right? When you're thinking about these platforms, they the drivers or the candidates who are applying have so many options these days, and everybody's comparing themselves to somebody else. They're like, hey, is this business actually um, worth applying for? So they look at not only the benefits, the pay, the shift, they also look at the company reviews, and they look at how do you compare against your peers? So we have 10, 15, 20, 25 contractors just in our building. Then you have Amazon DSPs. Then you have other delivery provider, career services. So what are um, some of the things that and where do you rank against your peers, right? With that said, I can share some other stuff, but if you have any questions, feel free to type them in, and I can take some Q and A's, right? Um, so uh, Somebody's asking, how do you get the branding page? It's pretty simple. You go on Indeed, and we can help you and guide you with that. That's not that difficult to do, and we can definitely help you and guide you on that aspect. Um, but let me see if I can share the Indeed page. Um, what sort of messaging we're getting another one from AJ. He's saying that what sort of messaging on culture do you suggest in an ad? Um, just your culture, right? Like, hey, basic culture of like, hey, this is what it is to work for us. At the end of the day, we're small business owners, and for us, when I was a contractor, I kept on stating that, hey, this is a family run business, even though it's with FedEx brand and, FedEx brand. So basically, how can we elaborate that, and what can we do, right? What are some of the facts and some of the things you can state? Once a week we used to have a meeting. We talk about our culture, we talk about what we want to achieve, what we want to do, so on and so forth, right? um so Anyways, yeah. What else? Let me see if I can share my screen on Indeed, where you can analyze your analytics and look at those things, right? So I wanted to show you guys, like, this is what a job, like, when somebody's applying for your job, it looks like, right? This is a FedEx ground contractor out of South San Francisco. States pretty clearly that's what they're making. It's temporary, part-time, seasonal. They're only looking for a fill-in driver, right? And then when you look at it, it says right here, often replies in 3 days, or often replies in 5 days. Um, so it's very important to have a sense of urgency to get back to these folks, because when they're applying, they look at these things, right? If somebody says that often replies within a day, they will definitely get more applicants, right? And responded to 75% or more applicants in the past 30 days. So these metrics are very important to look at and maintain. Um, so yeah, um, this is what a candidate is looking at. Let me see if I can share another page of analytics. Hopefully that will help. So let me see if I can share the analytics page. So hopefully a lot of you folks are very familiar with what analytics page looks like, but if you're not, there's a lot of cool things to look at. Basic analytics will show you, so you can do analytics overview. You can look at jobs and campaigns. So what you want to look at is what is your click through rate. So earlier I was talking about, Indeed had said that, hey, you're looking at about 3% of apply rate. So you want to look at the click through rate, the number of clicks you're getting, number of impressions you're making, the number of apply start rates are here, apply starts here. So all these numbers, what do they mean? All right, like so there's Indeed is saying that if you're at 3% of the apply rate is good. And your goal is to how can I increase that not only on the click through rate, but also how many apply rates you're getting. So if you're calculating real quick math, 731 applies with 3,000 applications, 731, divide that by 2,995, you're getting 24%. So if Indeed saying anything that's less than 2% is bad, we're close to, let's say even 3% is the average, right? We're probably close to 8x that number. So these are the kind of things you want to do and you want to look at when you're looking at analytics. Hopefully this kind of helps you guys understand where your dollar amount is getting spent and how can you reduce it and how can you increase your throughput. So um, and then let's see if I can share. So this is the ads that we usually create for candidates so they can see, and it's laid out pretty simple, right? In simple terms, this is one of our current clients. This is our dashboard. We use funnel. So candidate gets their own dashboard, and candidate also has a place they can apply on this position. So like I was telling you guys, super simple, right? You want to lay it out. Like how much are they going to make? What is your pay structure? What day you're going to get paid? This person pays biweekly. Um, Schedule is pretty simple, like until you deliver all the packages your job doesn't end. So this person's laid it out pretty clearly. The expectation is, hey, you come in, you make sure everything gets delivered and you go home, right? Typical miles, so this is pretty high, right? It's 150 to 200 miles. Start time is 7:30. Work schedule is 5 or 6 days a week. Daily stop vary based on route. Driver capability 50 to 60 minimum a day. Like I said, it's a rural route, but the average stop per day is 100. And then, so driver average is 500 to 600 stops. So if you do 500 times $2, okay, this person's paying $1,000. This is also a day in the life of a FedEx delivery driver. Like I was telling you, it's a video. It's literally like shows them the good, bad, and the ugly. Like, hey, you got packages. Make sure you get load the packages properly. So understanding and showing them everything. We also tell them, hey, you need to make sure that the sit sticker is facing out, right, and showing them literally every detail about it. And we make them say, hey, this you have to do a pre-trip before you leave out. And there's some LPs that are doing that shows them the maps. It shows them literally like a turkey is running in the street. It shows them a dog. So literally this is a day in the life of a FedEx delivery driver. So this kind of helps weed out the folks who are like, oh, this is not that hard, this is a easy job. No, it's not. Like you're dealing with mattresses, and no, it sucks, and you sure you want to do it, right? So it kind of gives you the ability to see, you instead of just talking to them about it, right? You can tell them till your face is blue, or you're blue in the face, but till they see it, they don't understand. Like, hey, this is some hard work. You're working in the elements. You're gonna get to deal with dogs, and you you have to deal with ICs and LPs, and are you sure you want to do it, right? So pickups. It's very important to talk about those things. So literally just showing them a day in a life. It's super simple. Weeds out a lot of the folks. Just keeping it simple and making sure that you have bullet points. Hey, there's no CDL requirement on this. Like, this is what you're responsible for, right? Responsible to operate a company provided delivery vehicle to deliver safely, ensure timely and accurate delivery of product, like load, unload packages, like just bullet points to keep it simple. And then showcase, hey, these are the qualifications required and this is the benefit. I provide this, and this, right? Medical, dental, vision, PTO, weekly pay, biweekly pay, whatever that is, right? We also add military and veterans applicants are strongly encouraged because what we've seen is they have a very good work ethic, and obviously you want to be thankful they served our country, right? But also you as a business owner get a benefit, right? So within first 28 days, if a military personnel applies and they get a job, you have work opportunity tax credit, so you have to apply that within the first 28 days. And you can get the benefit of not only having someone on the team who is very like they've gone through a military, like they're a veteran, they've gone through a regimented life. Hey, this is the routine, right? Like, you come in, you show up on the days you're supposed to show up on, you load your truck, you unload your truck, and you make sure you do your job safely. They're very routine oriented, which is kind of what we want to have folks, right? Um so this is what a particular job looks like, and this is what it shows, and that this is what we tell you to create, right? As a job ad. Um, but yeah, this is some of the things that we can showcase. We can share all this knowledge and details uh, with you if you need, and we'll put this presentation up. Um, yeah, I would definitely put this presentation out for everybody to see. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you have any questions right now, go ahead and put them in. Otherwise, I'll end the webinar, and hopefully you guys got some value out of it. Hopefully we can add value and to the community, and make sure that if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Perfect. Looks like we don't have a lot of questions. I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you again. Hopefully everybody has great rest of the week. We're literally over the hump. So thanks again, guys. I'm about to end the webinar. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.